this is the most important video of my career. Today we're talking about the not-so-secret lives of Mormon wives. After I binged all 8 episodes last night, I woke up ready to give you the rundown of everything that happens in this lovely series, but then I realized there's much more to the story. Wait, pause the video because I have to tell you about Parade. Parade has blown my mind by how comfortable, cute, affordable, and sustainable their items are. Now, I'm a verified underwear hater. Digging underwires, panties that ride up, ooh, the worst legging lines. I hate it all. But Parade's items like the invisible seamless universal thongs or the Dreamlined t-shirt bra have absolutely changed my world. And not to mention, it's sustainable. So whether you're looking for underwear that actually disappears under your clothes or a bra that does its job without unnecessary poking and prodding, Parade's got you covered, and trust me, you'll be hooked. No pun intended there. Ew. Oh, and one more thing. Did I mention that it's affordable in this economy? Use code Tyler50 to get 50% off site-wide over at yourparade.com/Tyler50. So before we begin, I have to catch you up on pre-series lore. The story begins in 2020 when a woman named Taylor Frankie Paul starts making TikTok content about her 2 kids, motherhood, living in Utah, and shaking that ass. She is married to Tate, who is sometimes in her videos. As Taylor rises to fame, she invites her friends Camille and Miranda to partake in the TikToks. And they create the early days of what is now known as Mom Talk. Fun fact, I've actually met Camille and she was super nice the times I met her. I used to do influencer marketing in Utah and I would invite all these bitches to these stupid parties I'd planned. Goes to show you never know who's watching. Then Miranda is married to Chase. I thoroughly apologize for the low-res images. These 6 people are constantly doing TikToks together, hanging out, doing parties. And one thing that's important to note here is that most of these people are ex-Mormon or still say they're Mormon, but are like, you know, getting experimental with it. So I think it's important to note that they are kind of having their like rowdy college teenager arc in their late 20s rather than their early 20s, because being in Utah, you don't really get that. So as Taylor's rising to fame, she's throwing these big parties that everybody's getting absolutely trashed at. And then as the parties get wilder and wilder, she's having these little group meetings, like kind of like when you're in middle school and like the cool girls get to stay a little bit later for the sleepover and all the normies go home. That's what Taylor's doing. Like everybody leaves the party and then a couple select few are asked to stay a little bit longer where they start experimenting with their bodies. Apparently it started because Taylor and Miranda, who are IRL best friends, one time like made out in front of Chase, Miranda's husband, because he thought it was hot. And then from there, it just kind of got bigger and bigger. They were doing the hanky-panky in the same beds together. They were getting a little bit freaky with each other. And then other couples start getting involved. And it starts becoming a normal thing for this group of people. Then Braden and McKenna come onto the scene. Now, Braden and Kenna are not content creators. They have not been seen on Mom Talk, but somehow they're invited into the swinging friend group, allegedly. It seems like they're all really enjoying it. It's kind of just like an type situation, but they have a very strict rule for the swinging group. Nobody can actually in the group. It needs to be everything but the actual thing. Eventually, Taylor Frankie Paul's husband, Tate, starts getting uncomfortable with the swinging. It's starting to go too far. He's like, okay, what if one of you knocks up a wife that's not yours? So we said no hanky-panky, but it's starting to get there. So I'm getting a little uncomfortable. Let's like pump the brakes. But then Taylor's like, well, this is fucking awkward for me because sometime after, Miranda's husband, Chase, sees Taylor Frankie Paul at the gym and professes his love to her, allegedly. Taylor goes home to her husband, Tate, and is like, bro, this is weird. Chase just confessed that he has feelings for me. I don't really see it. It's not really there. But Chase and Taylor do not tell Miranda. Keep in mind, they are best friends. Taylor does not tell Miranda what Chase just said to her. At the same time, Taylor is caught in a love triangle because she actually has developed feelings for Braden. And she, at this point, is basically having an emotional affair with Braden. as this drama is building, Mom Talk is at its peak popularity. There are like 20 women involved as a revolving door that just appear in these TikToks. So many women are blowing up their social media by associating with the Mom Talk brand that Taylor Frankie Paul has created. Next, the rumors about this swinging group start swirling around on Reddit. There are rumors that allege that Camille started them, but nobody knows for sure. They are all dealing with so much stress of the rumors, all of their marriages are falling apart, their reputation is crumbling, they're all dealing with faith crises. It's bad. I would say this is the peak drama because Taylor, instead of like dealing with all of this baggage, just goes and sleeps over at Braden's house. Eventually, Tate picks her up, and that is the end of their marriage. So it comes out that Tate and Taylor are getting a divorce. Braden and McKenna are not social media stars, so they basically leave the picture, except for I think I found Braden on Instagram, and I'm pretty sure he has a podcast with 3,000 followers called Only Dads. Yikes! Kenna, she doesn't even do social media. Finding this one picture of her was so difficult, and it zoomed in because it was a selfie off of Miranda's Instagram, so she's out. Next, Chase and Miranda break up. Miranda and Taylor are no longer friends because obviously. Who do we have left? Camille and Sam Monday, who have gone to Taylor Frankie Paul and given her a cease and desist. Camille, her whole entire platform at this point was just responding to comments saying, I was not in the swinger scandal. She is literally vehemently denying the allegations that she is in the swinger scandal. I mean, no fault to her though, because if I were caught up in that, I would be so embarrassed. I would be so freaking out about people saying that about me. But at the same time, probably got her a lot of followers. Like, let's be real. I don't know. If it got me 1 million followers, would I let people talk their shit? Actually, I think I would. But they are deny. He's like way older, so I think he has the money and the reputation to protect. So he's like, I'm not being caught up in your TikTok bullshit, babe. We're putting this to an end. So she's just kind of like, okay. Even though allegedly she was the one who leaked it, I don't know how she didn't see that coming back to bite her in the ass because she's so closely associated with them. Camille leaves Mom Talk, leaves Taylor Frankie Paul. They're beefing in comments sections because the girls do not like each other anymore, because I think Taylor is so good about owning up to who she is. She goes on live streams on TikTok and is basically like, we were all fucking doing it. We all made mistakes. I'm divorcing my husband. Everybody's marriage is falling apart. And that's just how it's going to be, okay? I respect the hell out of her for doing that. But Camille does not want to be implicated, and she is stressing the fuck out. So they don't like each other because clearly they want to go about this differently, and it's causing a lot of tension in their friendship. Camille, out of Mom Talk. Now, Taylor is freshly divorced from her husband, Tate, who she had 2 children with. After the whole swinger talk drama unfolded, she was caught having an affair, everything imploded. Now, like, basically, I think it's 3 months after her divorce, she is dating this guy named Dakota. And yes, again, they look very similar. He's got the same shade of fake tan that she does. The general consensus on Dakota is that he is sus as fuck. Now, this man has been on like the weird Utah acting modeling scene for years. And I know many people that know him, and they've all said, sus. Any man with blue eyes, I'm not gonna trust because I know they're staring at them. Look through his Instagram. That is sus. The ab photos, sus. The blue eyes looking like this, sus. No fucking way. So the fact that he slid into her DMs because she was famous on TikTok, sus. He's obviously a clout goblin. His career is little side modeling photo shoot gigs in Utah, but all this to say that he is really questionable. We're basically launched into the fact that Taylor is now pregnant with his baby after like 3 weeks of them deciding that they were going to be in a relationship. They had been seeing each other on and off, and then finally they decide, let's just only see each other. Immediately she is pregnant. But then we find out that she actually had an ectopic pregnancy and lost the baby. We see a conversation with Taylor's mom, Leanne, who is a full member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and she is like, girl, you do not need to be seeing this guy. You're freshly divorced, you have 2 kids. This guy apparently has a past with drogas, and it seems like nobody's fully convinced that he is done with that past. Next, we're introduced to Whitney, who apparently got caught up in the Mormon Mom Talk drama, even though she wasn't in Mom Talk, but it seemed like her and her husband took off to Hawaii and said they were moving there. However, they only stayed for 2 months and then came back, obviously because they wanted to be on the reality show. But they said the reason for moving to Hawaii was because of the swinger drama, but we'll find out later that that's not what it was. She is being super shady. She is meeting up in groups with everybody in the group to talk shit on Taylor and talk about how pissed she is that she tarnished the reputation of Mom Talk over and over again. She will just constantly be talking shit on Taylor. It's so annoying. Whitney moves into her new house, and they have a scene with her and her gay husband where they're popping champagne and drinking it for the first time. And it is so funny. Honestly, I'm guilty of this. She drinks champagne and she goes, I still can't drink wine. I still can't drink champagne. I am like allergic to the finer things. I'm like, hey, don't do anything fancy schmancy like that champagne. I don't really like wine. Could I just get me liquor? It'll hit. That was so bad. But she samples champagne and it's a whole scene where it's her first time trying alcohol. But it's weird that she does this because she's like the most devout member of the group. The girls all end up having a group hang sesh where Whitney reveals to everybody that the true reason she moved to Hawaii with her husband Connor was because the rumors that were going around that Connor was on dating apps, messaging other people were true. She says he was on Tinder, asking women for lewds, texting them, but she swears he never met up with them and that they're going to move forward in their marriage and try to make it work. But I've seen a lot of rumors that he was on Grindr and he's confused about himself. I don't know. They've addressed it online and in the series. As all the women are gasping and going, I'm so sorry for you, Whitney, Taylor interrupts and goes, well, actually, I'm pregnant with Dakota's baby, but it's ectopic and I'm probably gonna lose it. Straight face. Everybody like doesn't even know where to look, what to do. Everybody's shook as fuck. I was shook watching and Whitney's like, you didn't even let me have my moment. Honestly, I could see how Whitney feels really mad at Taylor for that, because if I dropped some information like that and then somebody just interrupted me to be like, okay, my turn, I would be so beside myself. I can see how she definitely lost some respect for Taylor in that moment, but you have to remember that Taylor is like a child. She has no self-awareness. She does not know what's going on. So her doing that was not in mean spirit, but I can see how you'd be very irritated at somebody for being dumb enough to do that. Then we go back to the Taylor and Dakota plotline, and they're talking about the relationship moving forward. Dakota wants to marry Taylor even though they've only been dating for like 2 months, and he's talking about, do you want to do a temple marriage? Because I do. So if you want to do a temple marriage in this religion, there's like a lot of boxes that you have to check. First off, you can't be doing premarital. Second off, you can't be drinking. Third off, you like have to go through a huge repentance process for doing everything. There is so much shit that you have to do. And Dakota's over here like, babe, Taylor, I think we need to stop drinking so we can have a temple marriage. And she's like, I'm not even convinced that I want to marry you because 3 weeks ago you were dating 10 people. So don't be asking me 3 months into our relationship if you want a temple marriage when I personally don't even know if I want a marriage at all with you yet. And he's butthurt over that. Then between episodes 1 and 2, it seems like there was like a big lag because they had filmed a pilot and they were deciding if they want to pick it up, but then boom, Taylor Frankie Paul is arrested for domestic violence with Dakota. They even released the police report, which is a neighbor calling that she hears a woman screaming and crying.
911, what is the city and address of your emergency? There's like domestic violence, like somebody is screaming, like, get off me. There is a woman screaming. There's like the garage door keeps opening and shutting. It sounds like she's trying to get out. Okay. I don't know if the kids are there right now because I think she shares time with her ex-husband.
And then the full police body cam footage of the police checking in on Taylor. Taylor's sobbing. She's saying that she's scared for her life, that she peed her pants. He's out there to the police saying that she's throwing chairs and yelling at him and screaming that she's drunk. She goes to jail and ends up getting 3 years of probation because part of what made it worse is that she threw a chair at him and the police wrote that it hit her child. We don't know for sure if it hit the child or if it just went near the child and the police wrote that down. That part is kind of fuzzy to me, but obviously getting in a fight with your boyfriend in front of your children is so absurdly irresponsible. You want to like her, but then she does shit like put her children in these situations, bring a unstable father figure into your children's life, and that just like really is bad behavior on all accounts. So she has 3 years probation and she has to do check-ins with the court every so often, and they decide to get back together after all of that. There's kind of a debate online right now about whether Dakota was responsible for the fight they were having and if he was more involved than what they told the police. A lot of people online say that he's showing a lot of telltale signs of being a narcissistic abuser. So honestly, I think that he is definitely more responsible than what that police report shows. I think he probably should have spent time in jail too. He probably should be on probation too, allegedly. After all this happens, they're playing up the mom talk sisterhood. They're doing little hang group dates and meetups. And Taylor announces that she is pregnant for reals this time with Dakota's baby right after she went to jail for getting in a fight with him. Whitney, Michaela, and Macy go out to a lunch where they talk about how pissed they are that Taylor's bad behavior, her DV charges, her swinging are giving Mom Talk a bad reputation, and they're mad about it. But it's like, bitch, you wouldn't have a reputation without Taylor. So let's take a step back here. Then we get a new arc for Whitney that's actually so weird, and I felt like this didn't need to be included, but she gets an offer to do a brand deal for a vibrator for $20,000, and she takes a bunch of samples to all the ladies, has them over, and they start playing with like toys, and she's like, I don't know if I should take this brand deal because $20,000 is like a lot of money, and I just bought a house, but with Connor, I don't know if I should do it because that gives me a bad look on my brand, and I don't want my family to judge me because they're members of the church. And I'm like, bitch, you're the judgiest one of them all. I can't believe you're even considering this. A lot of the girls do one-on-one interviews where they shade her to death over this. Like, Jen is on her high horse. She's like, well, I personally don't think $20,000 is enough to defile my brand like that. Macy kind of says the same thing, but Demi is kind of cool. She's like, honestly, I think she should do it because she needs to break the stigma around women's pleasure. Then we get to know Layla a little bit, and she talks about how she was a convert in the church at 16 years old. She felt pressured to do it as she was trying to fit in high school. She was one of the only minorities in her high school. A lot of her friends pressured her into the church. She recognizes that the church does not have very kind messages toward minorities, but she kind of is in a weird place where I think through her divorce, she's leaving, not really sure. She's kind of finding herself and restarting as a 23-year-old divorcee. Damn, that shit is crazy. Jen starts talking about being freaky at this hang sesh, which is weird because she literally just shit on Whitney for taking this boy brand deal. And then they all start sharing nudes with each other. I honestly haven't had a friend group like that for a long time because most of my friends would be considered like the saint group in this show. So we definitely wouldn't do that, but it was awkward to watch, I will say. Good for them though. Then we skip to a new storyline. Dakota and Taylor Frankie Paul are moving in together in Taylor Frankie Paul's parents' house. Taylor sits down with her parents and kind of starts talking to them about like, hey, what do you think about Dakota? The parents are like, well, he knocked you up and we haven't met him and we don't want him to move in and we hate him. And she's like, well, that's too bad because his truck's pulling in right now. He honks the horn and starts backing up his ratchet ass truck. It is absurd. Please note that the boxes that he pulls up with are labeled Dakota's cool shit. He pulls in the house and starts talking to Taylor's dad, and the dad is obviously embarrassed, disappointed, angry at this, and he says, you knocked up my daughter, now you're moving into my house. Dakota legitimately says, that was an accident, dude. He calls him dude. He calls the grandfather of his child dude on his first meeting after knocking her up, after messing up her life. What? You're calling him dude? That's absurd. And then the dad is like, what? Did you trip and fall and then impregnate her? That's crazy. And again, in Utah culture, it is absolute taboo to move in with your boyfriend before you get married. I dealt with this when I did it, and the amount of pressure I had, the amount of like shame and guilt I had for moving in with my boyfriend was horrible. Her parents don't even like him, and they're trying to force her to get married to him. They have said over and over again how he is not going to be a good father, how they do not trust him, but at the same time, they're telling her that she has to marry him if they want to move in together. That does not make sense. Luckily, she does not trust that. She says, hey, I'm not ready to be married again. I don't know him well enough. She's holding out in the marriage. Thank God. I also want to note that Dakota and Taylor, they are literally Haley and Luke from Modern Family. It's so crazy. I also think it's really weird that his first time meeting them is when he's moving in, and that's really awkward for him. I wouldn't be okay with that, but all right. Taylor decides that she wants to patch things up and go back to church after the swinging, after the DV, after the pregnancy out of wedlock, after the drinking. And she decides going back to the church will fix her life. She needs her faith, and honestly, good on her for doing that. That's really ballsy though, because the amount of judgment that she's about to face is going to be painful, but good for her. Then Macy and Taylor start setting up for Taylor's baby shower, and Macy is really dishing it out to Taylor, telling her that she does not trust Dakota, that she fucking hates Dakota, but it's like, I don't know if this is the time because she's got a full child of his inside her. And then Macy's mad that Taylor doesn't tell her stuff anymore, but why would she be telling you stuff if you're always going back to Whitney and talking shit? Macy does drop a bomb where she exposes to us, the audience, that she saw texts where Dakota was name calling Taylor and calling her a slut and a whore and was flipping out at her for something. And Macy says, I've been through a relationship that was horrible and toxic and abusive like this, and I think that's where yours is headed. But Taylor's like, I'm good, girl. Whitney brings her whole vibrator thing to her sister who's like in high school and her mom who's like 100 years old and like clearly a Mormon lady. And it's a really uncomfortable conversation because she's talking about her sex with her gay husband in front of her family, and everybody's clearly uncomfortable, and watching it was horrible. So thanks for that. She spun it in her head head that it's a thing about empowerment, but if there were not $20,000 on the line for this, you would not give a fuck, girl. Now, Taylor and Dakota go out to some sort of lunch or dinner, and he is talking about how much he doesn't like Macy, how he knows that she has been against the relationship from the start, and he drops the most absurd line. He's like, Macy doesn't even like any photos that you post of us together. As a 30-something-year-old man, how are you noticing who the fuck is liking and not liking your girlfriend's photos? What on earth? What is wrong with you? How would you notice that? Especially when she gets as many likes as she does. She is an influencer who's getting hundreds of thousands of likes. How are you digging through and looking for Macy to have liked the photo? That is crazy behavior. It's kind of sad though, because Taylor's definitely withdrawing from her friendships because she doesn't want people to know how bad her relationship with Dakota is. And I have definitely been there. I think a lot of us have been there. Whitney feels like mom talk is way too much drama for her and she needs to step away from it. Notice she will say that probably 50 times throughout this series. Continuing her jealousy, Whitney says that she doesn't feel like her friendship with Taylor is reciprocated. She feels like she's always there for Taylor and that Taylor never reaches out and asks her how she's doing. She's still mad that Taylor interrupted her story about her and Connor, and she decides that she will not be attending Taylor's baby shower. And all the girls that she says this to are just like nodding along with her, but then in the one-on-one interview, Layla's literally like, yeah, that was kind of weird and dramatic. I don't understand it, but whatever. Then we go to the baby shower. Macy spends the entire shower talking shit on Dakota, which I think is bad form. Like at the shower, you're gonna talk shit. Save that for the car ride home. That's how you do things. You carpool with a group that you know you're going to talk shit with, and then you're gonna talk shit on the way there and the way back. It's called a debrief, Macy. Doing it there, not classy. Then Taylor finds out that Whitney didn't show up to the shower and she is enraged. Layla drops the news and Layla's like, yeah, Whitney just didn't think that you would notice because you guys don't seem like you're that close. And Taylor's like, oh, I fucking noticed. And then Taylor's mom is crazy. Taylor's mom snatches her phone and goes and calls up Whitney and is like, hi, this is Leanne, Taylor's mom. Where are you? It's the baby shower and we thought you were gonna be there. Whitney's like, I didn't think I needed to be there because like, honestly, we're not that close. Like a lot of these relationships are definitely manufactured for TV drama. Like a lot of these ladies are cast and then told to act like they've been friends forever. That's how reality TV works. So I'm sure Whitney's like, I really didn't feel like I needed to, but Taylor's mom is crazy. And that is why Taylor acts like a child, because her mom will do shit like snatch phones and make decisions for her and get angry on her behalf and handle her problems. That's how you get Taylor Frankie Balls of the world, because moms who act like that.
Hi mamas, I'm sorry to cut this video short, but my baby's got a stinky and my hubby does not know how to change it. So I gotta go. Subscribe for part 2, okay? See you.